Chapter 4, Scheduling. This chapter discusses scheduling the time needed for each group to be able to work on goals, planning whole class positive behavior systems, and arrangement of the spaces needed for instruction. In the decision-making process, these considerations also fall under the implementation section. It is important to note that whenever possible, students should have access to grade-level content delivered by the content specialist in their school, usually the gen ed teacher. Pull-out times for special education should be sensitive to the needs of students to gain that content and not miss out on crucial instruction with their grade-level peers. Removal from the general education setting is an IEP team decision based on each student's individual needs. Teams should consider present needs, but also content areas missed in previous years and the impact of continued pull-out in the future.
When setting up a schedule for your special education classroom, there are several things that you need to consider. First of all, you need to consider the master schedule. If you have one in your school, that's great. It should have the specials on there. It should have when all of the grades have reading and math. You want to make sure that the special ed doesn't take over for that content curriculum. There's a couple of different ways our school has done it. The school that I'm in right now has a master schedule, which makes it very easy. If you don't have a master schedule, you need to visit with each teacher and you need to make sure that you're not pulling out when they're doing their content instruction.
Student needs drive the lesson planning process. All the areas in the IEP need to be addressed within the schedule, even if not every day. Check the weekly and monthly service time on student IEPs to be certain you are scheduling adequate time to address the goals in all skill areas. Is there a master schedule you are expected to work around? In elementary school, specials like music or PE may change, affecting scheduled time for your instructional groups. What are the related service times for your students? Be prepared to adjust your schedule to continue to meet student service needs. What staff do you have available at various times during the day? You may use support staff to teach small groups of students under your direction in your classroom, or they may be assisting students in general education classes. Robin talks about scheduling considerations in her school with her extended resource students.
Scheduling is something that I start as soon as possible. So immediately after the school-wide schedule has been released. And the first thing I look at is when students should be in their general education classrooms and setting. And this is something that's determined during the IEP meetings. So I put students in their classrooms first, and then from there I design my small group, whole group, and one-on-one instructional groups within the special education setting.
Have you given any thought to classroom management? Most students respond well to whole class positive behavior systems, while some students will require more targeted planning and intervention in order to be successful. Here are some considerations. Predictable routines help students know what to do and when to do it. For example, arrival and dismissal routines, transitions between groups or activities, how to get help, and what to do when finished with an assignment are routines within your classroom. Explicitly teach students by breaking the routines into small steps, then teach the parts by modeling. Practice the steps with your students and reinforce the students when they perform the routine correctly. Let's talk for a minute about the differences between procedures and routines. Procedures are the teacher-directed manner students accomplish needed classroom tasks. Where routines are evidenced, when students can complete these tasks on their own without thinking or needing to be prompted. Do you have a procedure for the way students hand in papers or other completed work, for example, but you need to remind them each time they turn something in? Having a box or basket designed for this purpose in a particular location in your classroom and teaching students the procedure for how and when to use it is one way to create a routine. Practicing the procedure of putting completed work in the basket and then reinforcing students for using the correct procedure turns it into a routine. The more routines students know automatically, the more time teachers have for instruction. And less likely to be frustrated students are not doing what is expected. Your students need to know what you expect from them. Keep it simple with 3 to 5 expectations worded positively about what you want to see. Post them in a prominent place. Similar to our discussion about procedures and routines, teach students what you expect. Reinforce and reteach whenever needed to maintain a positive atmosphere conducive to learning. Here are some examples of classroom expectation posters. They may be as simple as respectful, responsible, ready, or more lengthy, such as challenge yourself, don't take the easy way out, ask questions to clarify your understanding, come to class prepared to learn. Structuring the environment for learning may prevent many undesired behaviors and help you devote more time to teaching. This is a screenshot of one of the resources SESTA behavior coordinators have produced and posted on their topics page on Idaho Training Clearinghouse. It is part of a training booklet called Behavior Foundations: Proactive Strategies. A copy of this document may be downloaded with the module. It provides an overview of ways to structure your classroom to prevent unwanted behaviors and set your students up for success. Stephanie describes a class-wide positive behavior system she uses in her resource room to reinforce behaviors she wants to see.
So in my classroom, I have a store, and every day they earn behavior dollars. So if they come on time, I reward them. If they're paying attention, I reward them. My goal is to make sure that every second that those students spend with me is effective, that we are on task. And the dollars that I give them make that possible. They want to earn them. The things that I have in the store are motivational for them. So they're eager to be on task because they're constantly being rewarded. And because of that, the positive behavior supports, I don't have a lot of classroom management issues. So there's a lot of different things you can do, but you want to find something that works for you, so you're not dealing with behavior problems in your classroom.
Before designing the spaces needed for instruction, knowledge about the students and targeted skills need to be considered. The next step, though, is designing space in your classroom to meet the identified needs. Let's listen to Robin describe the setup in her class.
When looking at my classroom setup, I have students that need small group instruction and students who need one-on-one instruction, and we also have an area for whole group instruction. So throughout my classroom, we have places that make all three of those settings comfortable. And lastly, I always try to make sure that the furniture I do have in my room is movable and flexible so that we can change the setting of my room to fit the needs of the students.
What instructional areas are needed for small group instruction, whole group instruction, one-to-one instruction, or for specific students, do you have a designated area to refocus when they're overstimulated? Finally, in classrooms with multiple instructional sessions going on at various times throughout the day with multiple staff members, safety needs to be a priority. Maintain sight lines if room dividers are used. To accommodate students with mobility or vision issues, space between rows or tables is important. The ability to evacuate students quickly is crucial for safety drills and also other times when privacy of a student requires evacuating students quickly. Stephanie talks about her resource room setup in this video clip.
When setting up your classroom, it's important to pay attention to the needs of your student. Your classroom should be set up for your students' individual needs. In my classroom, we have tables. Sometimes I need to assign seats to those tables. Other times I don't. Sometimes I have students that need a desk of their own, and so I bring one in. But everything we do, even in arranging our classrooms, is set up for our students' needs.
When thinking about how I might set up my classroom for student needs, let's consider Donnie. To support Donnie's phonics instruction, I will need a couple of small group areas. A small semicircular table that accommodates 2 to 4 students, or even 4 desks pushed together in a pod, will be ideal for this. Nearby, I will set up my materials for teaching phonics, including flashcards, phonetic syllable charts, manipulatives, and the other materials to support my instruction there. I also need spaces to facilitate partner work for the PALS peer-assisted learning instructional strategies I selected. I need a place for Donnie to work individually while he completes independent assignments. For those times when he's overstimulated, a place to quietly refocus with some alternative seating in a corner of my room is also needed. Since Donnie will be getting reading instruction in his regular classroom, and I will be supplementing in a small group, I may not use a large group space while he's in my room. However, other times I may need a whole group space with access to the board when teaching to an entire group of students. Having flexible seating areas I can reconfigure, like small tables that can be moved to create larger instructional workspaces, are handy. Robin's students have unique needs that influence the way she sets up her classroom and the materials she has available. Stephanie has multiple groups of students coming and going throughout the day. Your classroom will have its own set of room arrangement challenges. Keeping your students' instructional needs in mind will help you set it up initially, and you can make changes throughout the year as needs arise. We talked about scheduling, positive behavior systems, and classroom arrangement in Chapter 4. Next, in Chapter 5, we will discuss data collection systems for progress monitoring.